like, let's say he or she leaves the house, and what, you make them coffee, or like you give them like a muffin to go, right? Like, does that feel coupley to you? It feels coupley to me. Things like that.
When you say making him a muffin to go, what does
shut up? You know what I mean? Like, you give him like a breakfast.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Just give him that muffin to go. Wrap it on up, put it in the lunch bag, muffin to go. Got it.
Shut up.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Menage-a-Pod, the hysterical comedy podcast about sex, dating, relationships, and whatever else we want to talk about. I'm your co-host TJ. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, friend, and podcast life partner, Jenna. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Fucking great. How are you?
I mean, I'm okay. Do you know what would make me even better?
What would make you even better?
If people went and bought our merch.
Ooh,
I'm just saying.
You're a real pro there.
I'm telling you, we'd really love for you to visit teespring.com/nailed it stores /Menage podcast to pick up a piece of our official merch featuring our bubble logo. The women's V-neck for $25.99 and the unisex comfort tee for $24.99 are the best sellers, even though I'm a big fan of the hoodie, which my apartment, by the way, is freezing cold, so I'm constantly wearing it, even in the dead of summer. We have stickers, other official Menage-a-Pod merchandise. So check it out at teespring.com /stores /Menage-a-Podcast. It's the best way to support the podcast and help us keep bringing you fun and relatable content and keeping me from selling my body on the streets.
We don't want to have a repeat of that.
I'm just saying, once in a lifetime is enough for me, right?
Yes.
I know. I thought I moved past it, but who knew?
As a young woman of good character, you can only turn to the streets too many times before you're just too far gone.
I mean, honestly, in the time of COVID, when, people don't have jobs, I'm just saying.
I get it. Hey, well, I know we've talked about this before, but onlyfans.com /Jenna Grish, and you will find for $12, you will get a view of both nipples on onlyfans.com.
Oh my God, you guys, he's kidding. For those that didn't listen to Dario's podcast, was it Be Positive podcast?
It is.
That was a joke that we made on there. I don't really have one. I feel like you need to put out that disclaimer because people will Google it. And
Jenna does not have an OnlyFans account, but I have a picture of both nipples. And if you send me $12, I got you. Just kidding.
I have no idea how you got that, but okay. Lucky you.
Mean, I spent a lot of time in your apartment. Hidden cameras, girl. You know what's up. Where do you think? I'm just surprised you haven't noticed the toilet cam yet.
Ew, that's disgusting on so many levels. Also, I never use that bathroom. So
I think I'm the only one.
I think you're the only one that uses it. Yeah. Anyway, what's going on? All right.
Not too much. So today, I think, guys, we're going to do things, something we haven't done in a while, something I know everyone likes. We're doing a mailbag episode.
I love the mailbag episode.
Me too. Great bad dating stories, fun questions about advice, because anybody who knows anything knows that Jenna and I are the absolute go-to people for dating advice.
Yeah.
You're not making the most catastrophic mistake of your lives. I promise.
I mean, honestly, we've discussed all the therapy I've had, and then you have dated in all of Chicago. So it feels like pretty solid, the two of us. You get some pretty solid advice, right?
Hey, and I've gone to some therapy. I got therapy brain too.
Still take my thing.
I won't. That's you. Yeah, you be in therapy. I'll be the man whore. I got it. It's funny that I just mentioned the man whore comment, though, because this next topic. So I want to talk to you, Jenna, before we dive in the mailbag. Guys, I'm sure if you've listened to us enough, or you are connected to either of us or both of us on social media, you've seen us talk a little bit about TikTok. In the beginning of the pandemic, Jenna was kind of all in, and I shit on it a lot. Yeah. So here now, I want to apologize to Jenna for besmirching the good name of the social media arm of the Chinese government, TikTok. Yeah. I'm flat out fucking addicted.
I know, right? It's easy to get in deep. I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's what she said. And I also, guys, I want to tell you something. So we actually tried recording this episode yesterday, and the next line in the outline says, my first video had like 150 likes and 1,300 views in half a day. So knowing my desire for attention, it goes without saying that I'm all in on TikTok. And we all know I'm an attention freak. But going further into that, 24 hours later, we're at 16,000 views, baby. Taking over the world, us old people on TikTok. What you know about it?
I know nothing about it because I don't monitor it like you do, but I feel like I feel like this is so your thing. I mean, you monitor our stuff, so it would only make sense that you monitored your stuff. It's in your DNA.
Well, it's funny that the first thing that I ever did on TikTok is my most like prolific social media post ever.
Really?
And I was talking to someone today and I was saying that like, I'm going to need an intervention. I'm too far gone. There's no coming back. I'm officially at talk bottom.
You are at talk bottom because I have gotten no less than 10 updates in 2 days.
Screenshots. I'm giving her screenshots of my view counts and like
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
That is the healthy response for a social media app of a fully grown adult man.
My God. I read this thing about, I mean, TikTok gets so much bad press in how they do things, but there was this like thing going around that that was saying that women who aren't like size 2s and below aren't getting the views. They're not being served up in people's news feeds.
Sure. In their FYPs.
Did you hear this? Yeah. Did you hear this? I thought that was really, I didn't know that was a thing, but for me, it would be like men without their shirts on because that's all I ever get served is like men without their shirts doing whatever. I'm not mad about it.
Talking about TikTok?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You're like, that's all I get served. They just bring me shirtless men with like palm leaves and grapes to feed me.
Yeah. And you know what? Also, I want to know like what their algorithm's like because I feel like I don't know if it's an intentional thing, but at nighttime I get served extra sexy content and tarot card readings about relationships, and I do not get those during the day. So I wonder what that's about.
Well, it's a hyper sophisticated data mining thing going on, and they 100% are tapping into everything you do on your phone. So if you've ever Googled tarot or talked about tarot and the sexy dudes at night, I mean, I'm sure
Bumble?
You like some sexy dudes on there.
Please.
It could be Bumble.
Are you kidding? Like if you look at the people that I follow, they're like 90% dudes and a couple women because girl power. But I don't know.
I don't follow anyone, but I will scroll through the FYP, the For You page, like all day long, man. I've only been on it for 2 days. I was showing a friend of mine last night. I was like, oh yeah, look at this video I found on TikTok. And I was scrolling through like my liked photos and she was just like, holy shit, you have liked a lot of videos on TikTok.
Yeah, it's easy to do. And you know what's really funny is like sometimes people will send me a video like my mom or my sister, or actually I got my sister hooked on TikTok. She's on it. Or Jenny will refuse to get on it, but she'll send me videos and I'm like from Facebook or something. And I'm like, yeah, I've already seen this. It's a TikTok video. And then I feel like, oh shit, I have a problem.
There's no problems. There's only solutions. And hey, TikTok, where else can you go to get mental health advice to a popular song? Where can you get financial advice? Coincidentally, also to a popular song.
Yeah. Or
I've learned
advice, hacks.
Exactly. I think that's the next thing I'm going to do is I think now that I'm kind of rapidly building a little following on there, I'm going to start talking about the podcast and doing like relationship shit. I know.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I have the podcast mentioned on my bio. I haven't really done anything with it but my thought was I'm going to put it out there and then it would be a good platform to kind of connect all the dots a little bit,
Sure.
Maybe we should have one. Maybe we should have one for our brand. Another thing for you to have to run.
I feel like that's going to be a lot of work, and I think I've already put like a fair amount of legwork into building my own, and I'll shamelessly promote everything we do. So, I mean, my social media channels are mostly just 90% shameless promotion of the things I do.
Yeah, I know. I've seen them.
Yeah, I know. Hey, you benefit too, whore. Stop yourself.
I know. I'm not saying that I don't.
Somebody's got to post relentlessly about our podcast.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. Well, enough about the TikToks. One other thing I want to tell you about. So my friend Adita has this fun new IG account that everyone out there, you should definitely follow. It's super funny. It's called @FindingMyHusband. And the tag is her journey to find her future husband via terrible banter, dating sites, and outright trash men. So little background on Adita. She's like young, 20, I think she's 28, 29, like I met her on Bumble a couple years
Your
ago.
fucking age
Both have.
bracket. Okay, go on.
I know. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. I'm talking to people more age appropriately lately, so that's a thing.
Good.
But we both have super cute tiny dogs. Her little girl Daisy is the cutest thing ever. And over the last few years, we just like kind of shit talk each other on social media, and it's mostly her shit talking me because she's kind of a badass. So she keeps my ego in check. You guys definitely need to check it out. It's like screenshots of various like Bumble and Hinge communications and dudes sliding into her DM. And she's never like really terribly rude, and she blocks everybody out, so it's not like anybody's like being exposed. But she lights people up. It's pretty fucking funny.
I love it. I started to follow it yesterday when you told me about it. So yeah, I'm interested to see it. I haven't, you know me, I like to do that. I'll follow it and then I'm like, yeah. And then I'm like a cat with a laser pointer. It's like, you have something else you have to do. And then I didn't do it.
Sure.
But I will.
And then, and a message to any men that listen to this, if you're in Chicagoland area and you match with a woman that in her profile says she's Bosnian and her name is Adita, don't slide into her messenger with some weak shit because she will assassinate you. You got to bring your A game. So be on your lookout there. I'm doing this. That's like my service message for the community. I just don't want to see. I've seen too many guys go in and out of her inbox and walk away with their tails between their legs. So we're all rooting for somebody out there
between their legs. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm just saying. That's cool. I'm excited to kind of look through it, and I love that literally everyone that you meet is from a dating app.
You have no idea.
Do you have friends?
Actually, you do have.
Yeah, I do have an idea. Do you have any friends that you haven't met on a dating app? Be honest. Like two, besides the ones that we met through the podcast.
I have no comment.
Yeah, just curious. I feel like those numbers would be skewed pretty high.
If it wasn't for the dating apps, we would have like 30% less listeners.
Right. That's what
You're welcome.
Okay, I know you do everything though.
Yeah, so just make sure you follow her, and I think that's enough on that. Why don't we get into the actual mailbag content?
I'm so excited to get some advice. Yeah, I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
Okay, so first up, Amanda and Katie asked how to start putting yourself back out there after a divorce. I have a lot to say about this.
Let's hear it. Bring it.
So I think there are a couple things. I think I'm giving you this advice from somebody who didn't follow it, from someone who learned her lesson, who went through it. But I think the first thing you have to do is actually take a beat. I know that like my first instinct, and TJ, I think you were probably pretty similar, where our first instinct was to get back out there. And sort of, for me, it was like a healing of my ego a little bit, because I felt a little rejected. And there were a lot of things that happened where like I didn't feel funny enough. He didn't think I was smart enough, like things like that. And so it was a way for me to sort of heal and sort of get that validation that I wasn't already feeling after such a rejection. And so, but all that really did was leave a lot of people in my wake that I ended up hurting and that I wasn't ready for. And it didn't end up making me feel good about myself, really. So I think in retrospect, I would have taken a minute. I would have regrouped. I would have let myself grieve and heal, and not have grieved and healed with other people. You know, I think it's important to kind of give yourself a moment to like feel those feelings. Once you're ready to start dipping your toe out there, I think you get on the apps, because really how else are you meeting people? Or if you want to meet people through your friends, right? Like that I think is also really nice. That was harder in my case because everyone I know is like married with kids. They don't hang out with a lot of single people. So that was kind of tricky. But I met most of the people on the apps. And I think, you know, it's important to be upfront and honest about where you are and what you're looking for. Like it's okay to get on an app and say, I'm not looking for anything serious. Men do it all the time. I don't see women's site. Like,
it's called standard operating procedure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it? Because like, I don't know what women's profiles look like. Do they say the same thing?
No, I just mean that it's standard operating procedure for men to not be looking for anything serious.
Yeah. So, you know, it's totally okay for you to be like own your sexuality like men do and be like, I'm just looking to have sex. Get on Tinder. That's what it's for. But then I think like once you're ready, like I think you put out your intentions, right? And then see what happens. But I think it's important to heal first. And then once you've sort of come back to like a center, then you can kind of move forward. What do you think?
So my advice is similar. And starts off sounding not that way, but honestly, like Nike, just do it. When you're done enough on self-care and you feel ready to date, and you really have like done some introspection and some looking inward, and you're ready, put yourself out there, because the sooner you're on the map or out to dinner or walking in the park with someone, the sooner you're going to be comfortable doing those things again. Putting yourself out there is hard, but there's really no time like the present. And I know that when you're with someone for a really long time and you get comfortable with them, and you're never like forced out of your comfort zone, when you then have to meet new people and have new conversations, it can be like very, very overwhelming and very intimidating.
Mm-hmm.
Even someone who, I'm clearly a social guy, I love the sound of my own voice to this day, and I'm like a skilled expert level dater, wink wink, and every time I go on a first date, I'm a little terrified, and it's never as bad as it's going to be. And I'm always glad that I went there, and you just get like more comfortable. And I think it's just a process of getting ready to put yourself out there, making sure you're not doing it too soon. But once you're ready, don't worry about the method or how you're doing it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Put yourself out there.
Yeah. And I think it gets easier, right? Like, I think those first couple dates when I started dating again were exciting, but also scary. And you'll go through points where you're like, this is awesome. And then you're going to get exhausted and you'll be like, fuck this. Like, I'm so tired of dating. Like, I'm so tired of the disappointment. But like anything else, you can't get discouraged. I think what happens is, like, we've talked about this, like there was a 2019 Jenna version, 2018 and 19 during, where like the, first 2 years after my divorce. And that version of me had a lot of learning to do when it came to meeting other people, because I also think when you're so used to how one person behaves that you've been with for so long, that you're married to or had a long-term partnership with, I think you sort of see everyone else like that. And like, you obviously have triggers and you have all these things that you have to kind of work through. So 2020 Jenna, though, has started to weed through bullshit faster. And so I'm not messing around anymore. Like, it took me a minute to get to that point to figure out like the bullshit behaviors that people do and the things that they say and ghosting and breadcrumbing and all those things that like were not, I'm sure they happened prior, but I just don't remember because I was in my early 20s and like, I don't fucking remember my early 20s anymore. Lots of drinking.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. Just kidding. She doesn't do cocaine, but that sounded really good right there.
And so I think like, I think you're going to have that and you're going to like have some heartbreak and you're going to have to weed through the bullshit, but you'll get a process down of like being able, I think, to weed them out faster so that you can then start like focusing on quality people instead of quantity.
People.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How about you run through some quantity to get to some quality?
Well, look, you're going to have to. Look, I suggest sleeping around a ton, honestly, after a divorce, because you've been with one person. I mean, if that's your thing. If it's not, that's cool. But I think there's something nice and liberating about being able to sleep around a little bit before you settle down again.
Yeah, everybody's got to go through their whole phase.
Yeah. And I think it shouldn't just be once. It depends on how your life kind of works out.
No comment, girl. Shit.
I don't know.
Your life can be a whole phase.
This is true. This is true.
But
this is what mine's turning out to be. I'm just kidding.
You'll have that. I'm changing your name on my phone to Ho Phase Jenna. That's ridiculous. Yeah. All right, let's go to the next question. Okay, so stand-up comedian Matt Brown, someone we've talked about before on the episodes. He's actually going to be coming on to an episode soon. He asked, hysterically, of course, because it's very much his brand, how soon is too soon to raw dog? Great question. Second date, engagement, somewhere in the middle. Someone commented on that comment and said, if you have to ask, it's too soon, which I don't think necessarily made sense. It's never too soon. Hear me out. I know he's being funny, I hope, but the reality is you just want to be honest, make sure you've both been tested, have consent, and then do whatever the fuck you want. Who gives a shit?
Yeah. So
especially so in his case, he's a gay man. So if you are both tested and you're like, and you have consent, you don't talk about pregnancy, raw dog all you want. You do you, boo-boo.
Yeah. With one caveat though.
Sure.
Because I've been burned by this where like people
good choice of words.
Where like people have been sleeping with other people. So it's like at the same time, right? So like you can be tested and you could say, yeah, I got tested 3 weeks ago or 4 months ago. But in those
Sure.
4 months, how many people have you had sex with? And also, are you only sleeping with me? And if not,
Well, but
then somebody
again,
else can give you something.
they sure can. But see, the
And then
first
bring it
thing
home
and
to
the
me.
4 things I said is be honest.
but
So it
they
all
don't
hinges
know.
on the fact. Well, I get it. So what? Never in your life you'll ever have unprotected sex because anybody can lie at any time. My point
No,
is
it's a
that this
gamble,
advice
though.
totally hinges on but it's always a gamble.
Yeah.
It's a gamble whether it's the first time you sleep with someone or the 38 millionth time you sleep
Well, I
with
mean,
them.
I don't know if you're in a committed relationship, then it shouldn't be a gamble. You know where his penis has been.
But do you? They could also be lying.
Well,
If the
God,
premise is that you can't trust people, then you can't trust anybody.
well,
You can't have it both ways.
I guess.
So
but
ignore Jenna and listen to me. Be honest. Get tested. Have consent. Do whatever. And then ignore Jenna some more.
I mean, I hear you. Also, just be smart too. Make smart decisions, right? Like,
Sure.
because people do lie. And so maybe it's, be honest. And maybe it's do it with people you trust. So not even just be honest. I think maybe it's just also do it with people you trust, because like the person that, could be being honest with you and then had just had sex with somebody else because you're not monogamous, and that somebody else could have fucking chlamydia. And then what happens?
Sure.
Right?
Nobody wants to clap.
No,
Come on now.
or herpes, whatever they are. Right. So it's like, you just kind of want to just be honest and maybe do it with people that you trust. That's all.
There you go. And then the other one other good piece of advice on this.
He's a fling, right? Like he's just like a friends with benefits segue.
Sure.
Then I don't know, maybe I wouldn't, because he's probably fucking around with everybody else, right?
There you go.
Yeah,
sure.
Just be smart.
I mean, I try not to with anybody. That shit's terrifying. You never know what's out there.
This is true. I agree with you, but it happens. You're right. It does happen. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's a gamble nowadays. Quite honestly.
Let's go to Vegas. JK. And then one other piece of last good advice, and this will be super quick, about the should you raw dog or not. Make sure that you follow me at TJ Saposi on TikTok. All right, next question.
Oh my God. Stupid. Okay, next question. Sharon asks, how do you know when your friends with benefits is catching feelings? Ooh. This one hits home.
Can we tag team that? Can we tag team that with question number 10 as well? Why don't you read number 10 and we'll answer them together?
Okay. How to figure out if you're just friends with benefits or if it's actually going somewhere.
Okay, so you tackle part 1 of FWB and I'll get part 2.
About the catching feelings, I don't know the answer to that, because we all know from our episode about friends with benefits, I am a bad judge of character of what that means. So maybe you should be answering this question. It burns me every time.
Okay, so I'll piggyback these questions together. So the one question is, how do you know when your friends with benefit is catching feelings? And the other one is how to figure out when you're friends with benefits or if it's actually going somewhere. Well, I think the answer is kind of the same. Mm-hmm. It's like if it's, first of all, if it's in question, if it's friends with benefits, or if it's going somewhere, then that would lead me to believe that there's some like context of activity or things that are happening that are beyond the spectrum of what friends with benefits do. Like, have you met his friends? Are you like frequently in their friend groups? Are you like kind of coupled off within that group? Have you met his parents? Does he tell you things about his life that are like fairly intimate? More importantly, we talk about communication all the time. Have you had any conversations about the direction it's going?
Yeah.
Nobody's a mind reader. So like, if you think it's going somewhere or you're not sure, or you're starting to like stress or feel uncomfortable with it, you can ask.
Yeah.
It's like totally okay to ask. That is not a problem. I was just going to say, if you're with someone, whether you're dating them or you're friends with them or you're friends with benefits, or whatever the situation may be, if you don't feel comfortable to advocate for yourself and ask the questions that give you the type of clarity that you need to like live a happy life, then that's probably not the person for you anyway, right?
Yeah, actually, I can speak from I haven't had a lot of friends with benefits, but the one episode that we taped about it based on my friend with benefits, I think for me it was he would say things like, you should meet my friends. That's what would throw me off. He'd be like, we should go, I won't say her name, but we should go meet, let's call her Sarah. She's doing X, Y, and Z tonight. And it's like, why would I do that? We are just supposed to be hanging out here and having sex, right? So I think there can be mixed messages. I think TJ hit it on the nose though, because it's basically like, just ask. I think there's nothing wrong with asking. And if you're afraid to ask, you already know the answer.
There you go.
And I think that's the key, because like, who cares? So what? You ask and you level set, and you could be cool about it and just be like, hey, listen, like, just want to kind of level set. I know I've been doing like, let's say he leaves the house, he or she leaves the house, and what, you make them coffee, or like you make them like, you give them like a muffin to go, right? Like, does that feel coupley to you? It feels coupley to me. Things like that.
When you say making him a muffin to go, what does
shut up? You know what I mean? Like you give him like a breakfast.
Yeah, I know exactly
right?
what you mean. Just give him that muffin to go. Wrap it on up, put it in the lunch bag, muffin to go. Got it.
Shut up. Anyway, so like there are certain things, like it can be a gray area. So I feel like, especially if you're good friends with that person, right? So like I would never do this, but using Daniel as an example, we are so close as friends that like if we had started to sleep together, it very easily could look like we were dating because we care about each other, right? And that's how friends are. We care about each other. He would definitely make me breakfast in the morning, right? Like, because that's just how we are as friends. So I think the reality is you just have to ask because, and you can do it like in a breezy way. You don't want to make it crazy. Just be like, hey, listen.
Easy breezy, beautiful cover girl.
Like, hey, just wanted to kind of level set here. Like, make sure that we're both on the same page. We're still just friends with benefits, right? Like, are you seeing anyone? Right? You can just have like a casual conversation about it. Don't make it weird. And call it a day.
Personally would just say, to be clear, you are just clapping these cheeks, right?
Oh, Jesus. You do not say that.
They do call me Mr. Thickums on the streets because of these big cheeks.
Oh my God, you're ridiculous.
Okay, let's look at Erica's question. See what she has to say.
Okay. Erica asks, why do people go on a dating site, like someone, and never respond to a message? Why be on a site if you don't make an effort? Well, Erica, could have been an accident. Sorry. Could have been an accidental swipe or whatever people do.
Could have been.
Right.
It also could be that you've matched with like 1,000 people in a day and the odds are you're getting like 30 people are getting a message back.
Could be. It also could be sometimes, as we know we do, where we will just swipe on a lot of people to see who bites. And then you go back through the profile and you're like, I don't know.
Like, oh, it turns out she's a Trump supporter.
Totally.
I'm gonna have to unmatch this one.
Exactly. It's like when I will be like, God, that guy's super hot. I swipe, we match. And then I read his profile and he's like really into fitness and working out. I'm like, okay, no. And then I have to unmatch him. And it breaks my heart a little bit because that's why he's so fucking hot. But I'm like, this isn't. We're not gonna, no. You know what I mean? Like, so that happens. Sorry, Erica. I'm sure it's probably not the answer you wanted to hear, but I think that's probably the reality of it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go to the next question. So Nina, someone I'm connected with on Facebook, asks the most wholesome question ever. Like, this makes my heart melt. Okay. She wants to know, when is it appropriate to hold hands?
Oh,
You ready for my answer here?
It's really cute. How old is Nina?
It's so cute. She's like our age-ish, I think.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cute.
I mean, I did a little research before. I mean, I knew the answer I wanted to say, but I wanted to see like what the consensus online was. Mm-hmm. And it's a question a lot of people who are older ask. Like, say you dated someone or you were married for 15, 20 years and you're dating for the first time since you were like a teenager.
Yeah.
And like, who knows what the right way, and there's some like level of arrested development. So this is what I'll say, Nina. Okay. And I've done this on many, many occasions. You know what? If it feels good, man, date one. If you're going, a lot of times you have a good first date and you don't want to wrap up. You had a couple drinks. Maybe you shared some apps at the first place. And you're like, I'm having a good time. Like, let's go to this other place. And both people agree and the date continues. And generally, if the date continues and you really want to keep it moving, maybe that first couple hours, there was like incredible chemistry. Maybe you've been like talking closely and touching each other over the table and giving each other like these physical symbols. If that's the case, man, grab that hand on the way to location number 2. I mean, I'm kind of a sap, but that's the way I roll.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm the wrong person to ask this question to. I'm not really much of a hand holder. I don't know why.
You're emotionally very cold and devoid of everything that I value in life. Yes.
Though? I am a very snuggly human, I'd like to think, but I do not. There's something about hand holding that I don't love.
Just because you keep pajamas on 24 hours a day does not make you a snuggly human. That's not how it works. You're like, I'm ready for sleepy time. That means I'm snuggly.
Shut up. I think there's something about it. I don't know. Like, I feel like it's awkward. I feel like hand holding is awkward. I would almost rather hold an arm. So like, I've been known to like, we'll be walking down
like
the street. And I'll just like grab onto his arm a little bit, but I'm not much of a hand holder. But same idea.
That's the same class.
And I think you're right. Although, recently what I think is really cute is like, if you're crossing the street and then someone like reaches back and goes to grab your hand to like make sure you cross the street. I think that's so sweet.
So you pull a dead body across in case you get hit by a car. Chivalry is not dead, folks.
So, but that's cute. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Holding hands feels pretty innocent to me. I wouldn't, have at it whenever the moment feels right, I think.
Yeah, read the symbols. And like, I mean, I've gone on first dates, like I said, where you just can tell and you're excited and there's that like electricity. And if you feel like you want to touch somebody, again, it's like consent. Reach for a hand. If they don't want to do it, they'll pull away. And what are the odds that someone's going to be like, yes, I swiped on you. Yes, I'm going on a date with you. Yes, I've now agreed to go on a second location with you on the same first night. And then they're going to like recoil in fear when you grab for their hand. That's probably not going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless they're like emotionally broken, like Jenna has previously discussed.
I just don't like it. I think it's sweaty.
Well, but then that's another thing. So you grab somebody's hand and it's super sweaty. Now you know they have sweaty jeans. You don't have kids with that guy.
No, I just don't want to hold that hand. Or what if my hands are sweaty? There's too many things, too many variables.
All these variables to consider. Yeah, for sure.
So I grab the arm. I grab the shoulder or the whatever elbow. I think it is. Okay. Why did you give me this question? I don't know the answer to this. The next question is
I mean, you do, because I looked it up and that's the right answer.
All right. So the next question is, what's the safest COVID sex position? Actually, funny enough, did Jenny write this in?
It is a guy named Tony did.
Oh, because she sent me this funny thing, I guess, like New York.
No, Jenny couldn't see it because I wrote this on Facebook and she unfriended me some time ago.
Damn. Burn. Well, she and I had this conversation because I guess the state of New York has been sending out these really funny. Did I send this to you? They've been sending these really funny things about COVID and sex and like safe sex, and which I find awesome that they're doing something like that. But anyway,
safe sex when you're in the car and you put on their seatbelt before you have it.
Wow, no. Basically,
they were a nice clay joke.
So your answer here, because I think you Googled it, is doggy style. But let me tell you what her thing said. It said, maybe to not necessarily, like there are a lot of things you can do that are sex, but like you don't have to touch. So they're basically.
It also says that in the answer right here, shithead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Where basically they were saying like, which was I thought weird. One person stands like around on the other side of the wall, and you both like sexy talk to each other and do your own thing.
And those even glory hole suggestions.
What?
They even suggested something that was very reminiscent of a glory hole.
Yes. I wonder if you read the same thing. Yeah, pretty much.
I did see it. Yeah, actually, you had sent it to me, but I had already seen it. It was going a little viral, and I'm plugged into the Matrix. So
right. So yeah. But here's the thing: if you're having sex, you're running the risk of getting COVID. So, like, best sex position for this or not, the chances are it doesn't matter. You've already kissed. If you're having sex, you've probably already kissed, which means you probably already have it. They've probably been close enough to breathe on you, to sneeze on you, right? So does it matter? Does it?
I don't think it does.
No.
Yeah, we're all going to die of the vid anyway.
Yeah. All
right. Why don't we go to the next one? And I'm actually going to, since we skipped around, I'm going to jack this next one. So Sarah, who is a longtime listener, a friend of mine, and actually someone I matched with on Bumble, believe it or not.
Shocking.
So she asks why she's still single. So first I'm going to answer generally. I think there are any number of reasons why someone can be single. And I'm just going to run through this really quickly. If any of these things seem like potential, like a trigger to you, or it seems like a likely reason why you might be struggling to connect, just do a little research. Look up, why am I still single? And then these terms, and do a deep dive. So you could feel undeserving. Just like issues with self-worth causes that sort of thing. You might have an intense, insatiable neediness. So like I kind of have that. So I directed at TikTok so I can leave the people I date alone. See,
Okay.
productive coping mechanisms.
Okay.
Being unrealistically discriminating. I know you should have standards for sure, but I think we all also need to be realistic. And I've heard many people just list like a laundry list of reasons why they wouldn't consider someone who seemed to be like an otherwise incredible potential partner. And I think sometimes if people just aren't in the right place, they'll look for any reason to not be in the right place. If you've been burned badly in the past, I mean, I know we've all had shitty relationships. I know I need to do quite a bit of reflecting on mine coming out of these last few. So that's something to be aware of. If you've driven past partners away, if you have trauma, sometimes this is a great one. The timing's just off. Yeah. You might have met great people and it just hasn't aligned how you'd want it to align. Like me personally, there's someone that I had gone on some dates with who I literally had been chasing for a year and a half on and off. Like anytime we were single, there was like back and forth communication. And there was no point in that when I was just like, oh, why isn't this working? It wasn't working. And then finally, it's okay to be single. Like instead of asking why you're still single and being like concerned that there's something wrong with you, be aware that like at our core, human beings, I mean, we are like independent, autonomous beings. And yes, we like to be bonded and we like to be around people, but being okay with yourself and being able to have that kind of self-care is super important. So don't stress out too much about it. Yeah. What do you think, Jenna?
Yeah, I think all the things you listed actually are traumas. So like, I think they're all manifestations of trauma, if I had to guess. So like neediness, feeling undeserved, I don't know, things that like if you've been burned badly, right? Like
that is a trauma.
All of those things actually are, I think, resulting traumas, like things that have resulted or traumas, right? Does that make sense? Am I saying this correctly? You know what I'm saying?
One that I didn't read, Jenna, the driving past partners away, it's talking explicitly about like self-sabotage. Yep. And man, I've been guilty of that a ton.
Because like I can, anything that triggers me in a relationship, I can pinpoint exactly where it's from, right? Like usually, not always, but usually. Like, and if you sit with it long enough and you go, ooh, why did I react like that? Right? Like, that was weird and that was an extreme reaction. Why did I react like that? I can usually sit down and figure out where it comes from and trace it back to something big that happened to me, right? Like, like me, I'm a big communicator. We talk about it all the time. And to me, it's like, I need you to communicate because my ex-husband didn't. And, his way of communicating was saying like, I'm out. Like, I can't do this anymore. And every time. So whether we were dating or married, he would throw out divorce all the time. And that can be really hard. And it can set you off and feel like you're not on a level playing field all the time, right? Like you're dating someone who always has one foot off the door or married to someone like that. And so now in subsequent relationships, arguments sort of set me off a little bit. And when we don't communicate and get down to the nitty gritty of it, then I start to panic internally because I think, well, he's probably also got one foot out the door when there's literally no reason for me to think that. They've given me no indication that that's happening, but because of a past trauma, that's right. It's like a trigger for me. So I think it's important to, and I think this comes down to what you were saying, it's okay to be single. And people are only okay to be single when they're okay with who they are. So once you have a lot of self-love, then you're like, it's okay to be single. And if you love yourself enough, weirdly, that's when you start attracting the people that are good for you. So maybe this is that's part of your timing thing.
Sure. And I know this is sort of a mixed message, but when Case Kenny was on our show, he gave this analogy and he said, if the life you want or the person you want or the thing you're looking for is, for instance, in Hawaii, you're not going to find them in the LA airport. So basically that message is that like, you need to be where you want to be, and where you want to be is where you will find what you want to find. Yep. You're not going to like going like chasing a thing and like not being whole with yourself isn't going to get you the happiness you want. You need to be happy with just you first.
Yep, totally.
All right, you want to do this next one?
Yeah. So Katie said, some guy oh God, here we go. I fucking hate when this happens. Some guy ghosted me, and when he finally contacted me later, he said it was quote, too hard to date me because a couple weeks in I broke my ankle, end quote. Okay, bye. Wow. Ew. What's the advice there? Why? Why?
That was more just
Yeah.
like a funny story she wanted to contribute. And that's living proof that men, all of us, including me, but less than all of the rest of you, but still, we're all trash. So
Also, that
don't
was
trust
bullshit.
any of us.
Sorry, Katie, that was bullshit. There's another reason he didn't want to date you for whatever the reason that is. And that was a bullshit excuse. What a stupid fucking thing to say.
It wasn't her broken ankle?
I'm just saying, he was a loser anyway. You're better off. Sorry.
Yeah, and I mean, if
I hope it wasn't you. Was it you?
It was not. No,
okay,
no.
good. Just checking. I never know. I don't know. I have to ask these questions.
We're like a woman who's messaging the podcast. In what way is she entangled with my co-host TJ?
That's what I'm saying. I know. Anyway.
Okay, I'm going to do this last one.
Okay.
So Autumn, who is a longtime listener and friend of the show, she's written in before. She says, asking for a friend. What is the appropriate time/etiquette for animal lovings? Say you go back to his place and he's a cute dog or cat that wants attention. You give it attention, but at what point do you turn your full attention to the person if the animal won't leave? Do you shoo the animal away or tell it to lay down or wait for the owner to do so? So I'm going to say this. As an animal lover, which I am, clearly, I love my dog more than I love any human being for sure. That if I had a woman at my place for the first time and we were like on the verge of potentially, being intimate, and my dog like hopped up and started bonding with her and just like wanted to snuggle on her, I wouldn't boot him. I would just snuggle with them together because that's the cutest shit ever. And if my dog loves you, I'll probably love you too. So I don't think you need to stress too much about this one.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'm running into this currently. So here's the thing. I think as the animal owner of the animal, what I do, so Miles is a dick, as we all know. I love him and his sweet, funny, crooked face, but he's kind of a jerk and he's also a major cock block. So anyone that comes over and we're sitting on the couch, he refuses to sit anywhere but in between us. It's a thing. And we'll go over to the guy and just sort of like love on him and like, say hi and then come back and lay in the middle so that I can't get close to the guy on the couch. So then I pick him up and I move him over and he crawls back over into the middle. He does it on purpose. I don't know why. He's a jerk. And he's like, no, this is my mom. Back off. So I will sometimes just have to it's easy for me because I put him on the floor and he can't get back up on his own. So I just eventually I just pick him up and move him over. But like, there's a guy that I was seeing consistently and he was like, listen, he'd be like, when we sit down, you just have to automatically sit close to me because you know that Miles is going to get up in between us. I'm like, this is true. And so like, I don't know. So I think the onus is on the owner of the animal to make sure that there's enough. Like if Miles doesn't leave someone alone, I'm like, okay, buddy, like that's enough. And I'll put him down on the ground. But I've also been in the situation where the owner doesn't do anything and you just kind of like, unless they're like a small dog, tiny dog that like wants to be on your lap, I still even would like pick it up and be like, okay, you're so cute, but I want to pay attention to your daddy. And I like put the dog down on the ground and like turn my attention to a guy.
That's
right?
good advice.
Yeah.
So you're like, yeah, we get down to business. And I'm like, just snuggle our little peppers. Just do it.
Yeah. I'm like, you're so cute, but like, okay, I'm done. I like put it down on the ground and I'm like, your turn.
Is that what dude said to you, Jenna?
Wow.
Dude, it's like, you're cute, but I'm done. And then they set you down on the ground and yell out, your turn.
I mean, maybe. I'm sure stranger things have happened.
What's a great show on Netflix, guys? I don't want to be the one to break the news. Watch Stranger Things on Netflix.
Really? You're a little out.
All right. Well, that's the end of our mailbag. You got anything closing words before we take off?
I don't. I really don't. I think next week, though, we have to address the Jada thing, the Jada and Will Smith thing. I have so many thoughts on it, and I just love him. I always have.
And I think we need to make a move towards doing this in person again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm, yeah. Just don't bring your cooties over here.
Fuck, my cooties. They're underneath my pants and boxers. You're never going to catch them, don't worry.
I mean, okay. I'm going to Lysol you when you walk in the door and make you wash your hands.
I'll bring my hazmat suit. I'll be like the bubble boy.
Okay.
All right, guys. If you want to find out more about Menage-a-Pod, head over to our Instagram at Menage-a-Podcast, where you will find our link tree that includes links to our Facebook group, website, merch store, and more. Remember that merch store. Like, if you remember one thing, merch store, and maybe go rate and review us too. Quick thank you to everyone who makes this show happen. And of course, you guys for listening, because you're the best. Jenna, because I fucking love you. You're my favorite co-host and friend ever.
I'm your only co-host. But okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, you're my favorite. So until next time, share us in your IG stories and find other ways to tell a friend about Menage-a-Pod. And of course, good luck out there.
Bye, guys.
Bye.